Hey everybody, I want to try out a new thing. I got some great feedback about some of these ETF videos that I'm doing. So I want to do kind of an ETF battle or like a comparison between two popular ETFs. And we're going to look at two different income ETFs by Vanguard. One is the Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF. The other is the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF. Ticker symbols are VYM and VIG. We're going to get into it in just a second. Before we do, please take a minute and check out the link you see on your screen, fool.com/Frankel. Get the top 10 stocks to buy right now from the Motley Fool. It is the best way to support this work I'm doing on YouTube. Again, fool.com/Frankel, and I'll put that link in the description of the video as well. So let's get right into it. I want to share my screen. And so here are the two contenders. So Vanguard has a bunch of ETFs that pay dividends and a few that are dividend focused. Two of the most popular are the Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF, which is VYM, and the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, which is VIG. And depending on where you are in your investing life cycle, what your goals are, and what your risk tolerance is, one could definitely be a better choice for you than the other. So without further delay, let me get right into it. So here, just kind of an overview of each one. So the Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF, 0.06 expense ratio. Both of them have the same expense ratio. Right now, it has a dividend yield of about 2.7%. And as the name implies, this tracks an index of mostly large cap stocks that have above average dividend yields. Now, the average dividend yield of an S&P 500 stock is roughly 2%. So this is a significantly higher dividend yield than the S&P. And here are the top 10 holdings. This is in order. This is a weighted index, so the higher they are on this list, the more of the fund this makes up. But there are like 500 stocks in this ETF, in each of these actually. So just in order, they're Broadcom, J.P. Morgan Chase, ExxonMobil, Walmart, Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. And the kind of key takeaway here is, one, these are very large established companies, very stable cash flows, and all of them prioritize dividends as part of their capital allocation strategy. They don't all, and this is kind of the big difference between the two, and I'm kind of foreshadowing here, they don't have to have any type of track record of paying dividends. There's no requirement that they've established, a 10-year pattern of raising their dividend every year or even paying dividends. If you look at some of the financial stocks like Bank of America and Wells Fargo, their dividends actually got cut during the financial crisis, and then they had to keep them the same for a little while, and so the only requirement here is an above average dividend yield. On the other hand, the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, VIG, again, same 0.06% expense ratio. This is a rock bottom cost. It means for every $10,000 invested in the fund, your investment costs are just $6 per year that are reflected in your investment returns. Significantly lower dividend yields. So if you're looking for current income, this might not be the best choice for you. 1.7% dividend yield, tracks an index of large cap stocks that have an established track record of raising their dividends annually or regularly. Some do it more than annually. But dividend growth is more important than dividend yield for the stocks that are included in this ETF. That's a big takeaway. So again, dividend growth is more important than dividend yield to be included in this one. Now, a lot of stocks do both, and you'll see that on this slide. Those 4 stocks that are underlined are common holdings, are common among the top 10 of both of these. Broadcom is the number one holding of both of these ETFs. J.P. Morgan Chase has a great track record of raising dividends, especially for a financial. ExxonMobil and Walmart both have multi-decade histories of raising their dividends, but they also all have above-average dividend yields, which is why those are common among both. But then if you look at companies like Apple, which pays a relatively low dividend yield, as well under 1%, but it has raised its dividend every year in recent history. Microsoft, Visa, United Health, MasterCard, and Costco all are not the highest dividend payers, but have very nice track records of raising their payment. So one of the key takeaways is these are not also always as mature and can be faster growing businesses. You'll see a lot more tech heavy focus in this ETF. So this is more of a total return ETF. It's not the best for steady income or current income. If you rely on your portfolio to cover all of your living expenses, you might want to look at a higher dividend ETF than this one. Remember, it has a roughly 1.7% yield as of this recording. But this one it makes up for that with growth potential. And you can see that when it comes to comparing their performance. So this is over certain periods of time. So over the past year, the high dividend yield ETF has been the number one, which is to be expected as interest rates come down. High yield stocks tend to benefit most. So don't read too much into this 1 year performance comparison. But when you look at longer periods, and these are annualized results, the dividend appreciation has definitely more growth over time when it comes to total return. If you look at even since the inception, these were both started in different times in 2006. So they've been around for about 19 years now. And in those 19 years, there's a pretty big difference, over 1 full percentage point in annualized returns between the two of them. And the reason is the less you focus on how high your dividend yield is, the more you can focus on growth. And the dividend appreciation ETF has a much more of a combination of income and growth focus. So the key takeaways, and there's no right or wrong answer, especially if you are not retired yet and don't rely on your portfolio for current income. There's really no way you can go wrong. Both these are excellent ETFs, low costs, great portfolios, stable companies, excellent quality, but just kind of two rules of thumb here. So if you're trying to decide, and both of them seem appealing to you, if your goals are one, low volatility, or you want to produce a current income stream, the Vanguard high dividend yield ETF is probably the better choice. More mature businesses, just more focus on current income. On the other hand, if you're still a long way from retirement and are still in growth mode in your portfolio and have time to ride out the ups and downs of more growthy companies, the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF could be better. There's nothing wrong with buying either one of these or both of them, depending on what your goals are. These are just kind of blanket statements here. I could make the case for, I'm 42 years old. I can make the case for owning either of them in my portfolio right now, even though I don't rely on my portfolio for current income. I'm shifting toward a more cautious focus as I get a little bit older. But both of these could make great fits. Hopefully you found that informative. I'd love to hear which one you like better, and be sure to, if you do comment, which one is your favorite, like give me just like a little bit of your circumstances, roughly like which age group you fall in, things like that. I'd love to know what you think. I'll do my best to answer any questions or comments on this video individually. And let me know what you thought about the ETF battle idea. I'm thinking of doing some more of these, comparing similar ETFs if people like them. So let me know what you think. And stay tuned right now for a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool. Thanks so much for listening. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investments. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market more than 5 times. Go to fool.com/Frankel to get your 10 stock picks now. The Motley Fool Stock Advisor returns are 914% as of January 7th, 2025, and are measured against the S&P 500 returns of 174% as of January 7th, 2025.